I'll wait for the push notifications to hopefully appear. How's that, Nev?
There we go. Yes.
And we are live. John Falks in the chat room saying, what's the crown thing? Yeah, we tried to work that out last week, John, but no one seems to know what the crown things are about. We're not down with the youngsters.
No.
We don't know what that is.
Oh dear. Never mind. Not to worry. Hope everybody is well. It's certainly nice and warm in the United Kingdom at the moment. The heat has returned. And they're talking about 32 degrees over the weekend again.
What's going on, is it? Oh, nice.
Yes, warmth in the south. And perhaps East Anglia maybe a little bit cooler. But, could be...
I think we were
hot one again.
28 this weekend. It might have gone up. I'll have a double check now you said that, Nev. 27.
Oh.
Yeah. That'll do.
I did find it amusing that you a couple of weeks ago went in Malta, and it's in June. Oh, it's so hot here. And then our colleague Andy, who was in Kef this week, oh, it's really cold here. I'm not surprised about either of those statements, really.
But it was really like hot for June. We've been out in Malta in June 100 times, and it's never been as hot as that was the other week.
No. Yes.
Hello, Sturman. Bill's in there. John Main.
A full house tonight. And our chat room will be delighted with who they see on the show tonight.
I know. We've got a
I hope they
VIP
will.
guest tonight.
Yeah, we've got two of them.
Yeah. 2 VIP guests.
Yeah. Yes, Andy is in Keflavik, probably in a bar, and therefore doesn't have much money left. Not the cheapest place to have a drink, in my experience.
Definitely not.
So, yes, makes Norway look like Amazon Prime Day. But there we are.
Oh, that's at the minute, isn't it? Is it the Amazon thing today?
It is, yeah, 8th to 11th, yeah. So get your orders in. I've ordered some car washing stuff.
Oh, yes.
40% off in some cases, some of the shampoos and what have you. So, Darren says in Norway, Nev beer is 150 Norwegian kroner.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You should have seen the leading edge wing of that 150 when we got back to Seething this afternoon.
It's time for the VT clock, Carlos.
It was absolutely covered in dead things.
Oh, it would be, yes. Yep.
Right, here we go. Everyone ready? Bringing the microphones down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 559 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, Spirit Airlines grounds 5 aircraft amid a Detroit hangar foam incident. Airport liquids rule change, risking extra delays and confusion as the 100ml restriction is scrapped at some airports, and Airbus gives the green light to use the Taxibot to tow planes on the runway. In the military this week, RAF Honington near Bury St Edmunds unveils a Tornado as their new gate entrance, and the US Air Force adds more aircraft to the RIAT Air Display event. So, joining me this week, as always, across the fields and glens and rivers of the UK is, of course, our Seat 1A and BA connoisseur, Neville Bounds. Hello, Nev.
Yeah, it's warming up here in the home counties of London. It's gone very warm suddenly, and we're in for sort of 30, 32 degrees C later on, so over the weekend. So we're back to the hot, sweaty nights again. But no, it's been a good week. Lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff to report on as well, and got a couple of special things to tell you about as well in the show this week. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, we have indeed. You might note Matt is missing this week, missing in action. He's up by wining and dining this evening over in the glorious city of Norwich. But he's having some fun this evening, no doubt. But we have got a whole host of VIP guests on the show, haven't we, Nev?
Yes.
And would you like to introduce our first VIP, Nev?
Well, he's one of our great friends of the show, and we haven't seen him for ages because he's been a very busy chap. What with all of his company commitments and Airbus commitments and goodness knows what else. And he's back on the show for perhaps just a short time tonight, but we'll see how he gets on because he had a very early start again this morning. It's Captain Al.
A very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever you happen to be. It's so good to be back.
Oh, thanks, mate. And we had a short production meeting yesterday at a very nice fish and chip restaurant just outside Luton Airport, didn't we? And I have to say, that was a very nice meal we had last night. Really enjoyed that.
It was, yeah. Good fish and chips can't be beaten, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what have you been up to, Al? Need I ask?
How long have you got, and how big a piece of paper do I write the list on? Yeah, I've been flying this morning in management meetings this afternoon, and that's been my world for a little while now. But it's great to be on the show.
Yeah, and it's coming into the summer season as well, of course, isn't it? So you'll be even busier, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not a particularly seasonal airline, but we're coming into the period of time now where we start to get summer disruption due to thunderstorms, lightning, and the ever-present birds around airports.
And French ATC, perhaps, as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, our route network doesn't go through France a lot, so the majority tends to go east rather than south. But yeah, you can always herald the start of summer by a French ATC strike, can't you? You can set your watch by it.
It's easier to work out when they're not on strike, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
There we go. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Al. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, good to see you, Al. Good to have you back on. I'm not going to complain about the French ATC strike because that, or the issue, because that was what allowed me to go on the flight deck of that 321 a few weeks ago on that Titan Airways for 20 minutes. So yeah, it wasn't all bad. But he's back with us this week after being away for quite some time, and it is our resident host of, well, pilot of most aircraft. I think the only aircraft this particular person can't fly is probably the Wright brothers aircraft, but he'd probably have a go at that, to be fair. Welcome back, Armando. And he's not there.
And you're muted, Armando.
He's muted. He's on mute. Are you there, Armando?
I think his super flash new expensive microphone has had a spectacular failure.
No. Right. Well, while we're getting Armando back, I'll quickly do the weekly roundup bit because I have got a few thank yous to say, actually. I've had a very busy day today. It's been a very nice day and day. I'm going to have to say thank you to Andrew Hall, one of our listeners, Andrew Hall. Now, today, Andrew contacted me early first thing in the afternoon, said, do I fancy going flying in the 150? So I said, well, yeah, I do actually. So I met up with Andy at Seething Airfield here in Suffolk, and we took the 150 up for a little flight over to North Deans, which for those of you who know this kind of area, it's Great Yarmouth Way towards the east coast of the UK. And then, we had a very, very nice journey indeed to there, and then got royally looked after by Ian over at Airbus Flight Zone 320, and we had a go in, as if you're watching in the world of YouTube, had a go in this awesome fixed space Airbus A320 sim. And this is a brand new venture that Ian started up at North Deans, which he is building adding bits and pieces to, but it's pretty much complete. It's virtually complete. There's a few bits he's going to tweak and add to it, but got the chance this afternoon to fly the A320 from Gatwick to London Stansted, which was quite nice, and had a really good trip. And it was lovely to meet Ian as well.
Hey, you're normally a bit of a 737 fella, aren't you? Really?
I know.
How'd you get on?
It was interesting actually. It was a good sort of to get. Yeah, it's a different thing to flying it completely from a Boeing, but I must admit, I did, like I said to the guys before we went live, I did hand fly the aircraft into Stansted, which was quite good. But Ian was such a nice chap, actually, very nice chap to talk to, and we're probably going to have some more interactions with Ian over at Flight Zone 320. So look him up online. They've got on the socials there. Give him a look there. And if you are that way, pop in and see him. He's got a great little centre there. And like I said, the sim is really what the graphics were. Awesome, absolutely awesome on that. So yeah, well worth a visit there. But we'll probably have him on the show at some point because he's got quite a broad aviation background, Nev, because he's flown not only the Airbus, he's also flown the Boeing 757 as well. So yeah,
wonderful.
We'll have him on the show.
Wonderful.
But Armando,
Finally saw the light then, did he?
Pardon, Al?
He finally saw the light.
Yes, Al. I finally
came off the Massey Ferguson and flew a proper aeroplane.
Now, we've still got some audio issues with Armando, whose audio was working perfectly in the 20 minutes before we came on the air. So, yeah, you might have to...
I think it's an issue with his fee, actually. I think he's saying that the check has bounced.
Yeah.
And you can have his picture, but not his audio.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? Yeah, with the subscription has run out, isn't it? That's
exactly.
So, I'll tell you what, in the meantime, Al, let's have a chat with you, if that's
very good.
Right, whilst we get Armando back. So, obviously, you've been a very busy fella recently. And actually, in my world, I picked up my new car at the end of October last year, which I'm really pleased with. It's a very straightforward situation. But you went one better when you picked up something new, didn't you?
I did. So, as you may know, Acme Pink have an order for 47 A321XLR aircraft. And I was chosen, for want of a better description, to go and do the acceptance for the very first one for the group, and the very first Pratt & Whitney powered XLR. And it's quite a responsibility looking back on it, because ultimately I go out there to Hamburg, to Airbus, to go and fly an aircraft that at that moment in time they own. And on my acceptance of the aircraft, money changes hands and we become the owner of it. So it's kind of like a test drive on speed, I suppose. It was good fun, though.
Now, in terms of the acceptance of the aircraft, is it your decision alone? So if you've operated the aircraft or you're seeing something you don't like, is it just down to you to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not accepting it? Or is that more of a team effort that goes into that decision?
Fundamentally, it was my decision that feeds into a team. I mean, quite clearly, this isn't a situation whereby we would just walk away and say, nah, sorry, deal's off, cancel the multi-billion-pound order, we're going to go and buy somewhere else. That obviously doesn't happen. So it's really a case of, if I had found cause not to accept the aircraft, then Airbus would rectify the issues that I had identified. Bearing in mind that this isn't a kind of situation where, I pitch up and go, well, I thought it would have 400 seats, right? I'm out of here. It's very much a case of, is this particular aircraft doing what we expect it to do? And of course, it has been flown by the Airbus test pilots prior to me flying it. But ultimately, you could say it's a sort of tick box paper exercise. But ultimately, when you talk about the sums of money that are involved here, roughly 72 million US dollars, then the customer does have an input into, is this aircraft what you expect it to do? So that was my role, and we took the aeroplane, and everybody actually in Airbus was very interested, because the production test pilot, production test engineer, they were all like, well, this is the first time that we flew it as well after it came out of the test program. So we're really interested for your feedback. And also, we have limited experience of flying it. So tell us what you think. So that was really quite interesting. And obviously at the back of your mind is very much the fact of, for landing the aeroplane, because that was kind of my job as part of anything, is don't bend it. Because apart from the fact that we don't own it, it's not our airplane, it belongs to Airbus, it would have a massive impact on the commercial program if I suddenly put the aeroplane out of service for substantial repairs. And it was quite funny, because when I did the acceptance flight, it was quite windy. And if we ever get Armando back, he can kind of testify to this. So there's good wind and there's bad wind. And this was one of those days when it was definitely bad wind, because it was right across the runway, and it was all being very mechanically disturbed by the hangars. And the Airbus production test pilot said, just to let you know, a bit of a handful in the last 100 feet. Thanks, pal.
I don't know what you're talking about, Al. All of my landings are always perfect all the time.
So you never have bad wind?
Only when the co-pilot is landing do we blame it on the wind.
Now, of course, this was the first Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan engine-powered A321XLR, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Obviously the first time you'd flown the aircraft, but how different is it to what I would call a normal A321? What differences training did you have to go through?
So I'll come back to the differences training in a bit, if you remind me, because I will forget. So a lot has changed on the aeroplane. So it's not just that there's different engines or anything like that. This is fundamentally a very different aeroplane. So it has different flaps, it has different flight control computers, it has a wholly different fuel system. And whenever people change flight control computers, they have the opportunity to really change the flight dynamics of a fly-by-wire aircraft. And that's exactly what Airbus have done. And the best analogy that I can give is that they've brought it into the 21st century because it flies exactly like an A350. So they have taken the A350 handling characteristics and they have mirrored that in the smaller cousin, if you like. So it is so precise. It's much, much more stable than 321neo. It's just a really, really nice aeroplane to fly.
Marvellous. And was it just enough to do sort of computer-based training to do a differences
so one of
onto this?
The big things that Airbus have driven is the fact that the whole of the basically Airbus commercial jet family, if we take out the A220, which isn't an Airbus DNA product for want of putting it better, There is so much commonality. So there is a lot of commonality between the 320 and the 330, a lot of commonality between the 330, 340, take it to the 350, 380. So a lot of the systems are very, very similar. So when it came to the XLR, obviously one of the criteria from the design and philosophy stage is that we want to keep it the same type rating as the A320. Yes, it will be a variant, but fundamentally it's a 320 family aircraft. That's what they achieved. And the regulatory requirement for training is just e-learning. It is a 2-hour e-learning session, and that equips you with the system differences. Because whilst it's much more stable and it flies nicer, you could put a regular A320 pilot who's never flown the 321, let alone the XLR, and they will quite safely fly that aeroplane. And I think that's been very much part of the Airbus success story. And without, having a cheap pop shot at Boeing, it's where kind of some of the projects have unraveled, because the process of mixed fleet flying the 737 and 787, that's a world of pain for an airline. But if there was an airline that had the A319, the 320, the 321, the 330, the 340, the 350, the 380, there is no reason from a regulatory point of view that with the appropriate training, your pilot can fly all of those.
Interesting. Now, I was just thinking about this the other day. With the 757 out of production, one of my favourite aircrafts, 1 minute that aircraft was used on the shuttle routes to go up and down to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness and Belfast. And the next minute, there's ETOPS certification available on it for going across the pond. Is your XLR ETOPS capable, or could it be with the right aircraft build?
Yeah, so it could be. Our first few XLRs are not ETOPS because, for two reasons. First of all, we're not looking at city pairs that would require ETOPS. So with regards to the aircraft acquisition, not unsurprisingly, there's extra money to be paid to the manufacturer if you want an ETOPS aeroplane. Aside from that, there's all the regulatory processes for the approval, etc., etc. It places quite a lot of onus on the operator. It was a conscious choice for us because to bring a new aircraft into service and to do ETOPS at the same time, there are a lot of possible issues that would have to be resolved. And it wasn't just something that we felt that we needed to do from the very beginning. We have 47 of the aeroplanes to be delivered. And therefore, what we want to do is we want to prove the aircraft. We want to see the data back off the aircraft, because at the end of the day, all of the aerodynamicists and all the engine engineers can say it's going to do this, it's going to do that. The proof's in the pudding. So we want to fly it for a period of time. We want to test it in a non-rigorous environment. And then, yes, we do have options on later aircraft if we want them to be ETOPS. The first handful of aircraft could be ETOPS if we wanted them to. We've just chosen not to.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously the Airbus marketing team will always say this is a game changer, this aircraft. And I really think it is. But why do you think that this variant is going to be such a game changer?
For very similar reasons as to why the 757 was a game changer in its day. So we've fundamentally got a narrow body aircraft that can fly regular passengers 4,700 nautical miles. So as Aer Lingus and Iberia are doing, this now allows them to do low density transatlantic flying because the aircraft's got the range. I mean, arbitrarily 11 hours. Most people would like to get off an aeroplane after about 11 hours. I know that, Qantas and so forth are doing ultra long haul or XL long haul or whatever you want to call it. And that's a very niche market. So for us, it's a game changer because it allows us to apply an ultra low cost carrier model to longer routes, long haul routes. The legacy carriers, Aer Lingus, Iberia, they're fundamentally doing the same routes that a larger aircraft would do on lower passenger numbers. For us, we will be able to ultimately do ultra low cost long haul. So we'll be able to bring into the marketplace city pairs that previously were dominated by legacy carriers with legacy costs. And whilst a lot has been made about, oh, well, you know, I wouldn't want to go across the Atlantic in a narrow body, etc., etc. We know that's a little bit of a falsity because the 757 did that for many years. And it comes down to what people are prepared to pay. Ultimately, the people who pay £10,000, £15,000 or dollars to go across the Atlantic, they're not in our core market. They're welcome to come and fly with us, of course they are. But typically, they're going to be the people sat in first class in the fully reclining, 7-foot long seat bed. And that's not our typical clientele. Our clientele are people who may be visiting friends or relatives, or exploring on a budget, or have all companies these days have constraints on travel budgets. So that's our market, and it allows us now to do destinations that were previously inaccessible by existing aircraft.
Well, I was going to ask you as well, with the extended range that you've now got with the aircraft, would that require a supernumerary flight deck crew member as well? Or can it be
so at the moment, we're not fully exploring. So in our configuration, roughly speaking, we've got a range of 4,100 nautical miles, because obviously we don't have more than one class, it's all economy. So at the moment, we're not fully exploring its complete range. So we're kind of down at the sort of 7-hour mark of flight time. So there's no need, because it's just a single sector, the crew and night stopping. Going forwards, yes, that's not a problem. It's not an issue. But I suppose what we're really doing in broad terms is we're doing extended route proving. Because as soon as you start to take any aircraft, any car, whatever, to the end of its sort of range capabilities, it's like your new car, Nev. You know that you can get, 500 miles out of a tank of fuel? All right. If you eke it a bit, you can get, 550?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Would you plan to do 550 if there was no fuel available? That you're then into the, well, do I put the heater on or not kind of territory, don't you?
Yeah.
So to sort of, for us to commercially plan to do the equivalent of, right, we're going to sell tickets that are, 550 mile range in Nev's car, then that's quite a bold move for a brand new car where you don't know whether consistently you can do 550 miles. So it's better to say, right, we'll do 500 or 450. We know we can do that without any issues, because there are always going to be teething problems with a new aeroplane. Everyone's got to learn it. And therefore, let's walk before we run.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic aircraft, and I think over the months, the airline will see where it is in terms of load factor and the fuel saving that goes with that as well, with those incredible engines. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting piece of work, and the fact that you've got 47 on order with the factory.
Yes.
That is a serious piece, isn't it?
It is, and you've mentioned the very much in vogue S word there, which is sustainability. It's a huge driving force in our business. We are one of the world's leading airlines for sustainability, recognised quite routinely for that. And, regardless of what individuals' personal opinions are with regards to climate change and all the rest of it, this is a major factor for corporate investors. There is a mood to invest in sustainable businesses or businesses that have a sustainability credential. You could, arguably say, well, is air travel sustainable? Well, it's a necessity for many people. Long gone are the days where, if you need to visit someone for a business meeting, you take yourself on a cruise liner across the Atlantic. If you need to, see that person face to face in their office to broker and make that deal, you're not going to say, right, well, I should be with you in a week on Friday.
Yes.
So air travel is here to stay, and therefore doing it in the most sustainable way is the way to go. And city investors like that. It has to be the way and the way forward. And every kilo of fuel saved represents a huge amount of CO2 saved.
Oh, it's massive, isn't it? And do you think the airline will get to a stage where it decides, actually, we're going to use it on a 3-hour sector and we're going to carry round-trip fuel on board?
So there's two elements there. So the XLR that we currently have in service does a short-haul flight in the morning, and then it does its trip down to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia overnight. So we do use it for multi-role. Round-trip fuel. So there are pros and cons to this. So obviously, there's the economic argument, but there's also the environmental and sustainability argument. So it's not something that we routinely do because every extra ton of fuel that you carry, you're burning a small percentage of it in our case, but nonetheless, you're burning fuel to carry fuel. So we have to kind of put on one side the economic benefits, because often you might want to choose to tanker fuel because it's cheaper at the point of tankering than where you're going. But now the whole kind of landscape of this has changed, and ever increasingly a lot of airlines, certainly here in Europe, and of course there are penalties with regards to CO2 emissions. So ever increasingly airlines are putting to one side the commercial benefits and not round-tripping fuel, unless there's a reason like a fuel shortage at destination.
Yeah, known difficulties down route or something like that, yes.
Yeah. And also, and I've kind of always, argued this point, if you live in a town and there's 2 petrol stations and one is dearer than the other, ultimately, if people don't go to the dearer one, there will be one petrol station in the town because one will go out of business. And then, funnily enough, it's not going to be the cheapest fuel in town.
Yes.
And this is the same with aviation, is that if you don't kind of use the guys in the destinations, then their purchasing power diminishes, their costs go up. So it's a little bit of a vicious circle. So you have to kind of feed everybody in this.
Well, I'm absolutely fascinated and delighted that you had the opportunity to do a factory acceptance on the aircraft and collect it from Hamburg and bring it back to the UK. It's absolutely a brilliant story, and I can think of no one better to have been in the left-hand seat to do it. So thanks, Al, for taking us through the journey there.
It's an absolute pleasure, and my sincerest apologies that I wasn't able to give you information along the journey. 2 reasons: I simply didn't have time, and as you might imagine, some of the information was embargoed.
Absolutely, yeah. No, brilliant.
I've got a quick question, Al, just before you, because I know you got to head off quickly. But
I'm going to stay with you for a little while. I'll announce my departure.
We Al and Ned, we always talk on the show about comfort for passengers, but have Airbus made any changes on the flight deck for you guys flying at the front to make it things more comfortable, more easier, or is it's exactly the same as it was before?
So it's 99% the same. We now have feet warmers.
Oh.
So we have electric feet warmers. They've gone down very well. Because you're absolutely right. And it's an exceptionally good question, actually, because the longer the airplane stays in flight, loosely speaking, the colder it gets, because it's pretty cold up there. and any exposed metal, and there's quite a lot of it, does cool down. And there are certainly some parts of the aircraft that get cold than others. So, we've got electric feet heaters.
This is all well and good, but how are the cup holders?
Exactly the same. Designed by Porsche, those cup holders.
Well, the Hawker,
I'm serious. So when Airbus were designing the A320, they asked the people at Porsche to do the ergonomics for the cup holder.
Well, that'll be interesting. So you've got Porsche designing a French design. We'll see how that goes over with American Airlines, where we're getting a 72-ounce big gulp, up on the flight deck.
So the thing is, Airbus have a solution for everything, Armando. So you can go to the Airbus shop, okay, and they will sell you a big mug that will fit perfectly into the Airbus cup holder. It's $79, but nonetheless, they'll sell it to you.
That's perfect. That's for me what makes an airplane is how big are the cup holders.
But you know what? And I suspect in the corporate world, this probably doesn't happen so much. But the bigger the cup holder, the bigger the mess in the bottom of it.
Yeah, I've cleaned plenty of flight decks. I know that.
You're familiar with the brown swimming pool in the bottom of the cup holder, yeah?
Oh yeah, for sure. Years and years of espressos and smudge.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, that was brilliant, Al. Thank you very much indeed for talking us through all of that. There was some brilliant answers.
No. I haven't been looking in the chat, but if anybody's got any questions, I'm open to questions on it. I don't have the skill set to look in two places at the same time. So.
No.
John is asking, is there a crew rest area or an option for a crew rest area?
So anything is possible with Airbus. If you want to have gold-plated taps, they'll do your gold-plated taps. So crew rest, no, because no airline so far has required it. At the end of the day, all right, it can do 11 hours. So if it was to do, 9 hours, 10 hours, on a regulatory basis, there's no requirement for crew rest, either for cabin crew or the flight deck. However, if you want it as an option, it is available. But, I mean, even the 330s quite often don't have crew rest. So it's very much in that kind of territory that it's not something that we would have. I mean, I hasten to add that the galley floors are heated on the XLR, so the cabin crew are much more comfy sat in the galley now for their breaks. And they do have sort of privacy curtains, for want of a better description, but no rest. No, it's not that kind of aeroplane.
And there was also another good point in the chat room that said, well, before the 747, everything was narrow body going across the Atlantic, single aisle.
Absolutely. And it's kind of, it's horses for courses, really, this whole narrow body, wide body. Narrow bodies tend to fly a little bit slower. But if you look at, I mean, we're not going to be doing transatlantic flying because the Atlantic is so overpopulated with airlines that's not our niche. There's no point going into competition with 6 other airlines on city pairs. That's a fool's errand. But with regards to long haul or narrow body, it's been done countless times. Frankly, it's no different to doing east to west coast in the United States. It's just water. That's been a mainstay of many a narrow body aircraft. And people say, well, narrow bodies fly a little bit slower. But, you're talking maybe 10 minutes on a 7-hour flight. If that 10 minutes is vital, go on the bigger, faster aeroplane. But, hey, you're not going to be paying £69 for your ticket.
And Captain Cruz asks, are you going back to Hamburg, Finkenwerder to pick up another one? Or is that
I am. So, so the next one I'll be doing the acceptance flight for next week, I think it is, scheduled for approximately the 16th of July. So yes is the answer to that.
I'll keep a lookout for that on Flight Radar 24.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not anticipating doing all 47 of them for the voyage. That's spread over a little period of time, but yeah, the next one is very, very soon, and I very much expect that it'll be exactly the same as the first one. But as I've said on countless times, aeroplanes are quite unique as a sort of mass-produced machine. They're all handmade.
True.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
You know, there's no robots on an assembly line. It's not Toyota.
There we go. Does it smell nice inside, Al, when you get in the flight deck? Do you have to peel the plastic off the seats? And
well, so yes and no. Not the seats, but the carpets are plastic covered, so they've all got protective liners on them, and it very much smells of a new aeroplane when you get on board, in exactly the same way as a new car smells like a new car. And it's amazing to see a brand new aeroplane and you look around it and there's not a scratch, not a scuff. Everything is just pristine. And even though with, aircraft, they'll have been, test flown and had an acceptance flight, then there's a little team of detailers who will come along afterwards. And it will come as no surprise to some, but every detail, so even the opening times of the hat bins, there is a tolerance for those. And one of the things that they will do before delivery is, if you imagine that you were to go down the aisle and just open each of the hat bins, they will all open in synchronicity. So that's kind of, and it's German engineering on the hat bin hinges, and they send their own engineering team to actually set the timings of the hat bins.
Wow.
Don't ask how much the hinges are, because I do not know, but they will be expensive.
Fantastic. Well, do you remember, Carlos, on the A350 1000 that we went on to Dubai,
yes,
which was only 3 weeks old, in service with BA? That still had a nice new smell as well, didn't it?
It did actually. Yeah, it had a nice fresh smell, I'd say, Nev. Actually. Yeah. Just going to pop some pictures up there on the screen that we got here that you dropped in the box there for us, Nev. And there we go. And another one right there. That's quite a good one. I like that one. Very nice one there.
That's a good one, isn't it?
That's a good one, isn't it? But no, it's been awesome to have you back on. As I said, we have missed you. I know you've been obviously busy and stuff doing this kind of thing, but I was going to say, have you had a chance to do anything else? But you've probably just been completely and utterly absorbed in the acceptance and delivery flights and stuff for the.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I literally went from doing the acceptance flight of XLR number 1 straight onto vacation. So I went over to the United States, spent some time in Boston, and then headed up to Portland, Maine, and bumped into our good friend, the main man, Micah. And we had lunch together and dinner together, actually. So it was almost a case of empty one suitcase and pack another.
Wow.
And then came straight back from vacation, and then was just into the next XLR. So it's been pretty full on for a few months. I'm still doing training. I had the pleasure of releasing a brand new first officer this morning. It was his flight check release. So he'd come to the end of his training. So there's nothing nicer than actually saying to a brand new first officer, well done, you've passed. And just seeing the weight lift off their shoulders from the, yes, I've made it, and the massive smile that comes on their face.
Oh.
Yeah, because obviously you've been there yourself many years ago.
Absolutely. Yep. There isn't a single captain who didn't start out as not a captain. So, yeah.
Actually, we need to mention, don't we, Nev, that Al is performing a very special, important job in a few weeks' time, isn't he, for us as a show, wearing a certain badge here.
Oh, yes. I've just almost forgotten. Yes, of course, Al. Why don't you tell us all about it?
Well, courtesy of Plain Talking UK, I'm heading out to Oshkosh, the world's biggest air show. So I'll be roving around with my microphone, persuading people to tell me all about their project, their business, or their aeroplane. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great place to go and meet other aviation nerds.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the video, the pictures, and everything else that comes with it, Al. I'm sure you'll do us proud. Hopefully, I'm gonna hopefully ping you off some extra shirts this week as well. So we'll need to.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah. Much appreciated.
Yeah, we'll get those off to you. But so Armando, are you still with us?
Isn't that crazy that it was literally working fine 30 minutes before the call, and then the moment you go live, you just can't script it.
But more importantly, have you worked out what happened?
No, I reverted back to it's like the autopilot. I reverted back to just the laptop with our video call software, and forgot the iPhone and all that stuff. So yeah, we know this works.
How are things, Armando? You well?
Yeah, great. Actually, big news coming at the end of the month. It's kind of one of those, what is it that you guys, stay tuned, watch this space type thing, under construction, under new management. I had a project, an aviation media project that I was working on for 14 weeks. I was away, I was traveling, I was no devices, no nothing. So I was basically completely out of touch in witness protection for about 14 weeks. So I'm just happy to be back in the real world and back with my family, back home, kind of getting back to work. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good, I tell you.
And also, you're doing a bit more on social media with the biplane, I noticed as well. You got some great videos up.
Yeah, while I was doing this project, I met somebody that was really good at those kind of creating reels and things like that, and I got a little bit of mentorship. So I believe it or not, I had actually kind of cut back on social media. I had actually deleted those apps from my phone and everything, just because it was taking up a little bit of much more time than I really wanted to dedicate to social media. But now I think with this upcoming project, I've kind of revived it all. It's all the same handle, the Fly AJC, and then I don't know. I think you guys have taught me, right? Just this morning, I was talking with Matt, who's not here tonight, but I was talking to him about how to do a media file naming convention and things like that, because it's all new to me. And the drives that we have, the big, massive data storage, right, for videos. Because I've discovered that these 360 cameras are wonderful for creating content. You literally just set it, and then you don't have to worry about angles. You don't have to worry about framing. You just set a 360 camera, make sure it doesn't fall off, and when you're back home in your computer or even through the apps, it's so easy to create a short video. But the biplane is my baby. That's a couple times a week I get on. It's good, raw. Al, you've always kept a foot in GA flying, good stick and rudder flying, no matter what I'm flying at for work. To just get out there with a yarn on the windscreen and nothing but a slip and skid indicator. It's nice. And now I've started taking the biplane upside down and doing some gentleman's aerobatics. So that's pretty nice to do also.
There's some speculation in the chat room as to what you've been up to, and there's some suggestions that you might have been visiting Area 51, and then Sturman puts the fire extinguisher on it by saying Area 51 isn't cool enough for Armando.
I did fly over Area 51, but also so does every flight from Charlotte to LA. So
there you go.
No, yeah, I really can't say anything about it. It's going to be a good, big media project. Once we get that all sorted out, of course, PTUK will have the scoop. We'll do an exclusive here on the show. It'll be towards the end of July, hopefully. But for the time being, I gotta not say anything about it.
It's all embargoed.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight with like anticipation.
I'll send you some pictures, Al.
Okay. No, it's. I mean, I entirely relate to you. You know, kind of. I mean, my sort of breakaway from social media was simply I just don't have time. Like there are 24 hours in the day, and there were some quite long days at various points doing stuff. And I'm kind of still working in the background now. But like you say, to just be able to go back into, in your case, the biplane, and especially if you can go, and just fly from somewhere where there's no radio required. You don't have to talk to anyone. You just like literally, okay, I'm just going to go fly. Like you say, seat your pants, stick and rudder. Yeah.
It's something that I think every professional pilot should do. Just remember where you started. Just the other day, just after coming back, Meg and I took the biplane. So I don't have an alternator in my airplane, right? That's an old biplane. So all I do, I have a battery. The battery is good enough to run the radios, the transponder, and my GPS for about 8 hours. But for whatever reason, my charger didn't charge on a couple flights ago. So it was me and Meg flying. I literally told her, I was like, hey, at some point during this flight, our battery's going to die. We're going to have no comms, no interphone, no nothing to worry about. The airplane's going to fly just fine. And Al, you hit it nail on the head. Like, you don't need a radio. I don't even need a radio or transponder to fly into the airfields that I fly out of. And sure enough, halfway back home, the battery went dead. I had no electronics and it was fine. You just take out and just let the wind go over your hair. I don't have hair, but like her hair. And you can literally fly with no radio, no transponder, no electrical system. It's just fabric and sticks.
It's freedom.
It is freedom. It's my happy place.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. Honestly, after this afternoon's experience, it's so nice when you're up there, even at just 1,000 feet up. You take off from seething, and within 10 minutes, we're at on the east coast at Great Yarmouth, which would normally take, with traffic, probably 3/4 of an hour at least in the car. And it's
I think we've all flown in East Anglia, and it's just so cool and pretty. I mean, it's not necessarily that pretty from the ground, but from the air, it's just everything looks like it's straight out of a National Geographic drone video, especially flying around at 1,500 feet AGL. It is one of the things I miss most about living in the UK was general aviation flying, and when I was there, I was generally into Super Cub. So window open, stick your arm out the window, and just it's so beautiful up there. If anybody ever gets a chance to fly in the UK, it's just so pretty, so pretty.
Yeah, we had the 150 Aerobat, Armando. It was quite a nimble little thing with a tiny little Garmin sitting on the down, literally a tiny screen Garmin sitting on the front display.
I love a 150.
Yeah.
I love jumping into a 150. You can throw it around, especially an Aerobat. Yeah, great airplane.
I find it like an old pair of slippers. You just jump in, and my old PA-28 Cherokee used to be like that. But yeah, just jump into a 150. It is just like putting on a pair of slippers that you've pulled out of the wardrobe that you forgot about for 20 years, and there it is. They still fit. Still feels good.
It almost brings back, so when we all started flying, the excitement of jumping into a 150 when you're a student pilot and you're walking out to this machine that's going to take you into the air, and you just thought it was the coolest thing, and 3,000 feet felt like you were in the heavens, and and 100 miles per hour felt like you were zooming through the sky. I feel like for me, Al, it takes me back to those days, that excitement of of learning to fly and just literally flying as opposed to being a systems manager.
Absolutely. Can I ask you a quick question? So, generally speaking, I don't come across too many of these people, but do you ever fly in the commercial world where people have gone, I'm not interested in GA anymore. That was just a mechanism to get here. Do you find that really sad?
I do. I guess for me, not for them. That everybody has their own path. But yeah, I do. Especially professional pilots that have gotten to the point where it's just a job for them. I think everybody that listens to this podcast, like, we have this passion. It's in our blood. Our blood boils for aviation. But yeah, it's a little sad sometimes when they're like, oh no, I don't want to fly any of that. Or even just flying 150 people is just another shift for them. It's
I'm very lucky where I am, that and it's in part because of our recruitment policy. We tend not to have too many people like that. We have a lot of young first officers. It's typically their first flying job. They're very lucky, of course, but they appreciate that. And quite often, when they get their upgrade to senior first officer, I say, like, what's your plan now? And they go, right, well, I'm going to use the extra money to go and revalidate my single engine piston. And that just puts such a smile on my face, because it's like, you're going back to do what this, it's a kind of full circle. And we have quite a lot of flight instructors as first officers. And that's just like, because, they're just completing the circle as well.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if there's an emergency, all the redundancy, you just automate down, and you just got to fly the airplane. And the more you have that feeling in your belly about what the airplane, what aerodynamics are happening around the aircraft, no matter what size it is, at the end of the day, the Sullenbergers of the world and the Al Haynes of the world, you just got to fly it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's got wings. It'll fly.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we do some news? Do you fancy that, guys? Bit of news?
Yes.
Okay.
Why not?
I'm going to take off. You guys have a great show.
Love to all the family, Armando.
Yes.
Great seeing you
guys.
And take care.
All right, guys. I'll see you in a couple episodes. Wink, wink.
Take care, Armando.
Okay, man. Take care. See
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Bye. And there we go. He's back, and he's hopefully give him a little longer. He'll be back with us again for a few more shows, all being well.
We can talk about him now, can't we?
Yeah, we can say anything now. I'm going to say a quick hello to everyone in the chat room before we kick off with the news. Just a quick mention of everyone. We've got Hobby Time is in there, Darren Smith, John Falk, Bill, Aaronx in there, John Main, Masher's in there, Sturman, hello Garth, Bill is also in there. We've got John Falk, just make sure I don't miss anyone. Master of None is in the chat room tonight, Masher, Mark Priestley, hello to you, Captain Cruz. Let me just make sure. A Savage, hello to you as well. Big Ron, hello to you. Scroll through, make sure I don't miss anyone. Arnie's in there as well from Possum Town. Good to see you in there tonight. Tanya W, hello Tanya. Darren Smith, hello to you as well. And to make sure I don't miss anyone before we start off, Big Ron, Sturman, Tanya. No, I think if I missed you, Ant Flynn as well. He's just dropped into the chat room. Hello, Ant. Good to see you in there. So, welcome to the show. We just had a good chat with Captain Al and, of course, Armando, who has come back there for the start of the show. But it's time to do some commercial news. So, full team is ready. Shall we do some commercial news?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
So the first story this week's come from Aviation2z.com or 2Z. It's Spirit Airlines grounding 5 aircraft amid a Detroit hangar foam incident. We haven't won these for a while, have we, Nev? The old hangar foams. So Spirit Airlines grounds 5 aircraft after a corrosive fire suppression foam system unexpectedly activated inside its hangar at Detroit Metropolitan Wayne County Airport on July the 4th this year. The incident may have caused millions of dollars in damage to the aircraft. Initial investigations suggest a lightning strike during a severe storm may have triggered the system. The foam affected 2 aircraft inside the hangar and 3 more parked on the adjacent ramp area. The 126,000 square foot Spirit Airlines maintenance hangar at Detroit Metropolitan Airport, built in 2017 for $32 million, houses a standard foam fire suppression system designed to prevent catastrophic hangar fires. However, 3 systems, while affected in fire emergencies, are notoriously corrosive to aircraft components. Going to pop the pictures on the screen now for those of you watching in the world of YouTube. At approximately 5 p.m. on July the 4th, the system was inadvertently activated during the thunderstorm. Although there was no fire, the foam filled the hangar and spread beyond its open doors, reaching the ramp where additional Spirit aircraft were parked. The affected aircraft included the A321, Airbus A320 inside the hangar, with 3 more Spirit aircraft outside. All 5 planes were removed from service and will undergo detailed inspections, cleaning to assess the foam exposure. Early estimates suggested damage could run into the millions, depending on the extent of the corrosion and contamination. Despite the potential severity of the incident, Spirit has confirmed that no injuries occurred and that the flight operations remained unaffected. The cleanup contractor has been engaged, and first responders assisted with immediate containment. Still, even limited exposure to this type of foam can cost around $100,000 per aircraft to clean, with severe cases reaching upwards of $10 million. The corrosive nature of the fire suppression foam necessitates action within 24 hours to mitigate long-term harm, and sensitive electronics, cabin interiors and engine components are especially vulnerable if affected by the foam. So there we go. Going to cost a few quid, I do believe. I mean, the pictures were quite good online. I saw these, Nev, with the foam outside on the outside the hangar.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's worse. I mean, back in the day, I was working in a corporate theatre that not a million miles from where Al lives, actually, where they had halon fire suppression systems, and if that thing goes off, because it literally sucks all the oxygen out of the room, you've got to get out extremely quickly. Yes, I mean, obviously the damage associated with this is a lot, but you know, perhaps better that than to have written off aircraft. It was not the first one we've seen, though, is it? There was another one. Was it last year? I think
a few years ago, wasn't there one? Yeah. But you wouldn't have definitely wouldn't have wanted this on your acceptance flight, Al. Foam incidents with a brand new aircraft, literally brand new aircraft. Is Al still there? No.
No, he's just paused for the moment.
He's paused.
He's probably had to deal with some corporate stuff that's going on. But,
now, Nev, you've got the next story, heading to BA for this one, aren't we?
Yeah, it's on onemileatatime.com, and it says that British Airways currently offers seatback entertainment throughout its entire wide-body long-haul fleet. Whilst that will continue to be the case for now, BA is also going to introduce streaming entertainment on selected long-haul flights. With this, passengers will be able to stream movies, TV shows and music directly to their own devices through the airplane's Wi-Fi portal. This will reportedly go live as of late July this year and will be rolled out on a limited basis to selected aircraft. The streaming entertainment is expected to be offered on Airbus A380s, Boeing 787-9s with Wi-Fi, and Boeing 777-200 ERs with the older in-flight entertainment systems. Well, BA is known for its creative, cost-cutting experiments, and the airline dominates slot-controlled Heathrow. So as much as BA executives like to tout how premium the airline is, the company's actions often don't reflect that. And you might say that if BA genuinely wanted to improve the passenger experience, you'd think that the airline would introduce streaming entertainment on narrow-body short-haul aircraft. After all, these are the aircraft that don't have any seat-back entertainment and where it would be nice to stream entertainment to your own device. So the question is BA really trying to offer passengers choice, or is it the airline introducing streaming entertainment to see what passengers have to say about it in post-flight surveys? Could the airline eventually eliminate seatback entertainment due to customer feedback? It's always an interesting one, isn't it? Where they go and fly a kite somewhere to see what the reaction might be. Obviously, streaming entertainment is very much the norm on long-haul flights. So on the surface, you think that BA wouldn't be able to get away with that. But at the same time, as consumer trends involved, the writer wonders how much longer that this will consistently be the case. Obviously, the screens themselves add quite a bit of weight, and the cost to install them isn't insignificant. And then there's the cost of maintaining it as well. And on top of that, the technology evolves quite quickly, so it doesn't take long for screen systems to feel outdated. But BA will reportedly be introducing streaming entertainment on these selected long-haul aircraft at the end of the month. But we'll see whether that ends up in the short haul side of things as well. But I think with people with their own devices these days as well, they're probably just going to watch it on their own screen. And the trouble is the bandwidth requirement for streaming, 720 or 1080p movies is a lot. And if you multiply that by 450 seats, in the case of an A380, that's a lot. And everybody will be getting, substandard frame rates, and there'll be complaints and all the rest of it, won't there? So I don't know. Let's see what happens. But I have a feeling BA are just sort of putting it out there to try some experiments to see what people think of it.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi didn't even work on the 321 we flew out to Malta on, Nev. Advertised, you could log on and everything, but it didn't work.
Yes, that is often the case, isn't it? Yeah. So Al's still indisposed at the moment.
Okay,
so
I'll move on.
Shall I take the next one?
Yeah, you can go, Nev.
It's on the scottishsun.co.uk, and it says that Scottish airport staff are being paid extra cash for catching passengers with oversized cabin bags. Naughty. Workers at Swissport, who run gated airports across the country, were given the baggage bonuses for catching EasyJet punters trying to pull a fast one with their carry-on luggage. The extra cash is being paid for bags taken off passengers at the gate. Extra money is paid to workers who take bags off these punters who haven't paid for a cabin bag, or people trying to take on a bag too big to be a carry-on. An email seen by the Sunday Times told Swissport staff about the EasyJet gate bag revenue incentive and was sent to workers in November 2023. The scheme was rolled out at Glasgow, Belfast, Birmingham, Jersey, Liverpool and Newcastle airports. Staff are paid an extra £1.20 for every bag they stop getting on the plane. The email said that Swissport crews are eligible to receive £1.20 or £1 after tax for every gate bag taken, effectively immediately, and said that the policy is intended to reward agents doing the right thing. It was signed off saying, "Thank you for your ongoing contribution to the success of EasyJet." EasyJet currently allows every passenger to bring on one bag that fits under the seat in front for free. Larger cabin bags have to be booked in advance and can cost anything upwards of £5.99. But if punters will also be charged a £48 airport bag fee if they're caught with an oversized bag, or they try to get a bag on board they haven't paid for. One Swissport worker who only earns £12 per hour told the Times, "Confronting people with excess baggage is like taking on fare dodgers. You risk abuse or worse. Imagine stopping a group of lads on a stag weekend and telling them, I'm going to have to charge you more than you paid for your tickets to check those bags into the hold." A Swissport spokesman said that we serve our airline customers and apply these policies under terms and conditions for managing their operation. We're highly professional and our focus is on delivering safe and efficient operations, which we do day in and day out for 4 million flights per year. Well, EasyJet spokesman added, EasyJet is focused on ensuring that our ground handling partners apply our policies correctly and consistently in fairness to all of our customers. Our bag policies and options are well understood, and we remind customers of this when booking before they travel and on their boarding pass, which means a very small proportion of customers who don't comply will be charged at the airport. Wow. And also, of course, it's not just Swissport. You've got other ground handling agents as well at Edinburgh Airport. So you might say, well, if one handling agent is getting preferential treatment over another one, that's a problem. So you've got people like Menzies and other people there as well. So what do you think about that, Carlos?
Tell you what abuses me, Nev. The fact you said that they receive £1.20 for every bag, right? But £1 or £1 after tax.
Yeah.
So they're getting taxed on, yeah.
Well, it's a perk, isn't it? It's an incentive. So it's taxable, according to the taxman. So.
I mean, Master of None has said in the chat room they're making an extra £6,000 a day.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
wow.
Nice.
Brilliant. Oh,
honestly, getting paid to snitch. I don't know. Anyway.
There we are.
Right. Moving on. Next story. This one comes to us from notebookcheck.net and skift.com. Going back to Starlink again, we cover this quite a bit over the show, haven't we? Planes with Starlink offer the fastest internet as 2 airlines take in-flight Wi-Fi speeds lead. So we've got it's kind of a top 30, but we'll do the top 10.
Yeah.
So the story goes on. Airlines like Hawaiian, Qatar, that subscribe to Starlink aviation service of SpaceX offer the fastest in-flight Wi-Fi according to a new plane internet search speed test. Currently, the in-flight internet experience, a lot of airlines, even ones that are an award-winning in other areas like customer service or punctuality, is lacking quite a bit. Due to this, the smorgasbord of in-flight Wi-Fi providers have signed ongoing contracts with, as they don't have the robust low Earth orbit satellite constellation of SpaceX's Starlinks. So the top 10, we're going to have a look at the top 10 of speeds. These are in megabytes per second download speed. Number 10 is Virgin Atlantic, 37.4. Be interesting to see what you think about these speeds. Nev, you're the tech whiz. WestJet's over in Canada, isn't it? 38.89. Aeromexico at 44. American Airlines, 50 meg. Breeze Airlines, 53. Delta, 54 meg. Air Canada 78, Spirit Airlines at 84, although maybe a bit foamy now. Qatar Airlines 84, Spirit Airlines 84, Qatar Airways 120.6. Top of the list, Hawaiian Airlines with 161.76 megabytes per second. It's worth noting that the worst on the list, because there is 30 in this list, is Lufthansa, with download speeds of 4.14 megabytes per second.
We're back to the 56k modem there, aren't we?
My word.
Wow.
But it's worth noting as well that this week news was released about Virgin Atlantic becoming the first UK airline to install Elon Musk's Starlink. Virgin announced yesterday that it will be installing Elon Musk's Starlink throughout its fleet of becoming the latest airline to opt for the satellite technology. The carrier said it will start the installation on its 787s, A350s and A330 NEOs during the third quarter of 2026 and expects to complete the installation by the end of 2027. The in-flight Wi-Fi will also, be free. Virgin is the first airline in the UK to partner with Starlink, which is owned by SpaceX. More airlines have been inking deals with Starlink for its high-speed in-flight connectivity and as part of the strategy to attract more business and premium customers. Now, Nev, the thing that stands out to me with that story is the fact that Virgin are going to be offering this completely free.
Yeah, you see, I'm in two minds about this. On the one hand, I mean, let's face it, the airlines and their providers make quite a bit of money from the revenue that's generated by offering in-flight Wi-Fi. And the level of dissatisfaction is quite high as well, because it depends on the connectivity level that you get. But if it's free, that's a slightly easier win in some respects, isn't it? So obviously the Starlink has got the prospect of higher bandwidth capability. But if it doesn't work at some point for some reason, you can't really complain about it because it's been provided for free. So that could be an interesting twist on it. But I think that I always thought, when I was on the plane back from Helsinki with Mrs. Nev some time ago, just after I'd retired, I was thinking, well, I don't really need Wi-Fi on the plane, so I shan't bother paying for it. But it's a 3-hour flight. And I'd retired from work, so I didn't need to download any work emails or anything like that. But I did pay for it for the period of the flight because I wanted to check some other email or do some socials and all the rest of it. Do some show notes as well, actually, for the show. So yeah, just because you're in the plane doesn't mean that you want to be necessarily cut off from all methods of communication. But this is, it's interesting to see the amount of variation in bandwidth speeds that the different airlines are offering, isn't it?
In the chat room, who's that? Master of None says, looks like I'm flying Hawaiian from now on.
Yeah, I would.
That's not a bad speed, 161.76.
That is going some, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going some. And
now, of course, what they don't really say is if everybody's on the Wi-Fi at the same time. I mean, that perhaps is just an individual speed. But if you suddenly had 200 people on it at the same time, would you get 161 meg? Probably not.
I like John Falk's comment. Darren Smith's comment in the chat room. Nev, can you see that?
I can't at the moment. Let's just have a quick look, see what Darren says. Yes, he went into a pub and said it is the Wi-Fi free, but the beer is not.
I've seen those signs.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, Nev, we've got some big changes coming in regards to liquids, haven't we?
Oh, this is just an ongoing scenario, and it boils my blood. It's on lbc.co.uk. It says that airports have begun lifting the 100ml restriction on hand luggage liquids across various UK sites. But sources say that the move risks sparking confusion amid the busy holiday period. However, sites have been required to install next generation CT scanners by this summer. It does mean that some sites have been able to lift the 100ml restrictions on the maximum amount of liquid passengers can bring into the cabin bags. Birmingham and Edinburgh have already changed the rules, now allowing passengers to take up to 2 litres. But as the rules are expected to vary by airport, critics warn that the move risks sparking confusion and delays for passengers. An airline source told The Times that the changes are absurd and would inevitably cause extra queues and confusion this summer. Given most people don't know about the change and just do 100ml anyway, it's hard to follow the logic of allowing individual airports to have different rules for the busiest period of the year, they added. The Department of Transport has advised that as this will be happening at different times at UK airports, passengers should continue to check security requirements with airports before they travel. It added that passengers should come prepared with liquids in containers no larger than 100ml in hand baggage unless otherwise advised. Airports were initially given a deadline of June last year to install the new scanners, with smaller sites such as Newcastle, Leeds, Bradford and London City meeting the deadline and lifting restrictions. Some of the bigger airports, including Heathrow, Gatwick and Manchester, were offered an extension until last month, as installing the technology had proved more complex than originally expected. The technology, which will allow travellers to keep their liquids and electronic devices in their luggage for the first time before entering customs. Where there is not a scanner, you will need to put your liquids into see-through bags and keep these outside of your luggage. Where there is a scanner, you may keep liquids of up to 2 litres in a bag, but the rules differ from airport to airport. Passengers should always check the restrictions with all airlines and airports they will be travelling from and through on their outward and return journeys. At some airports where the new screening equipment has been installed, passengers may be able to leave liquids and large electrical items such as laptops in their bags. speeding up the screening process. So certainly at the moment in the UK, the airports that are currently operating the CT scanners are Gatwick, Birmingham, Bristol, Edinburgh, Leeds Bradford, Luton, Newcastle, Southend and Teesside. Talk about making it complicated. Honestly, I remember it was a little while ago, to be fair. Do you remember when before BAA sold off the airport? So Heathrow and Edinburgh, for example, were both owned by British Airports Authority. So you think you're dealing with the same company. But it's all open to interpretation, shall we say. So I certainly took something through in a bag at Heathrow, and I bought the same stuff back from Edinburgh, the same airline company, effectively BAA, and they had all sorts of aggro and attitude from the security staff there saying it wasn't the correct size bag. So notwithstanding that, this is just going to cause even more problems. And why they've not been able to standardise it, I do not know. Obviously, airports operate at different speeds in terms of getting this stuff done, but it's just going to cause more delays at the security point, isn't it?
So I don't know whether we've got Al back, have we, Nev?
Not yet.
Not yet. So moving on to the next story. This is from bbc.co.uk, and there's an airline announced this week that it's going to be flying from Essex, from our very own Stansted. So from March 2026, travellers will be able to fly with Turkish Airlines from London Stansted Airport. The airline is going to be operating 14 weekly flights to Istanbul from the Essex-based hub. Gareth Powell, the managing director at Stansted, said this is a major milestone for the airport and a strong vote of confidence in both our operation and the vibrant, fast-growing region we serve. Mehmet Garyan, Turkish Airlines General Manager of London, added, by operating from Stansted, we're hoping to support the airport's continued growth and contribute to job creation and economic development in the region. Now, Nev, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who I have as friends who have this year already been to Turkey. I think Turkey is one of them places that is becoming incredibly popular to go and visit as a holiday destination. And I actually didn't realise that Turkish didn't fly from Stansted, but obviously they're going to be doing flights from there now. But it's becoming a hell of a big airline, Nev, Turkish. It is, I don't know what their fleet size is now, but I think it is considerably large.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, if you're flying into Istanbul airport, the almost brand new airport that they've got there and the new facilities, it must be absolutely incredible. And it's great to see airlines basing themselves in the regional airports as well. So you don't have to go to Heathrow or Gatwick to get these flights. So, no, that's great news, isn't it? That's really encouraging.
Have you been to Turkey before, Nev? Because I certainly
No, I haven't. No, I've never been there. I would like to go there at some point soon, I would say. Yeah. Al's just messaging. He'll try to rejoin when he can, he says. Okay. Due to work commitments.
Just checking, actually, Nev. Back in, I mean, this is 2 years ago, back in 2023, Turkish had a fleet of 440 aircraft.
Good Lord.
Which is quite a sizable fleet, actually, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah. Right, you've got the next one, Nev, then. And I quite like this one. It's quite handy. This is dropped in your lab, actually, because it'd be interesting to see what you think of this. The world's cleanest airlines.
Yes. So on cntraveller.com, it says tissue stuffed into the seat back pocket, grime smeared across the tray table, and crumbs pulverised into the carpet. A messy airline cabin is unfortunately all too common on board many planes today. But there are a handful of airlines where a neat and tidy cabin remains a top priority, and passengers are taking notice. Skytrax, an international air transport rating organisation, has just released its list of the world's cleanest airlines. Each year, Skytrax uses passenger surveys that examine the standard and quality of cleanliness of aircraft cabins across more than 325 airlines around the world. The surveys were conducted on a voluntary basis from September 2024 to May 2025, and passengers were asked to score the appearance of seat areas, tables, carpets, cabin panels and lavatories. So if you're looking to avoid grimy seats, sticky tray tables and the unmentionable lavatories on your next flight, here is the Skytrax complete list of the cleanest airlines in the world for 2025. And we're going to be counting down the top 20. So number 20 is Saudia, number 19 is Lufthansa, 18 is Qantas, 17 is Austrian Airlines, 16 is Swiss International Airlines, 15 is Finnair, 14 is Asiana, 13 Hong Kong Airlines, 12 Malaysia, 11 China Airlines, 10 is China Southern Airlines, 9 is Korean Air, number 8 is Japan Airlines, number 7 is Starlux Airlines, number 6 is Hainan Airlines, number 5 Singapore, number 4 Qatar, number 3 Cathay Pacific, number 2 is ANA, All Nippon Airways, and number 1 is EVA Air. Did you notice that so many in that top 20 are Asian or Far Eastern airlines?
Yeah.
Not all of them, but a large proportion.
Large proportion of them are. Yeah, I did notice that.
Wow.
It doesn't surprise me, when you hear the reports, that Singapore is in there, because it's obviously they win awards, I think, every year.
Yeah.
And obviously EVA Air as well. I've heard nothing but good things about EVA Air.
But of course, it is also down to, the airline, at the end of the day, it's the airline's responsibility, but all that cleaning is subcontracted to ground handling agents, isn't it? So I suppose it depends on how good they are on the day as well.
BA didn't make it in there, Nev.
No, strange enough, nor did Air France. Lufthansa are in there. No, Scandinavian SAS aren't there. Finnair got in there at number 15. So
in all your years of flying, Nev, because obviously you have done a few miles with BA, have you ever had that that time you got on board an aircraft and sat into seat 1A, as you obviously do, and you thought, oh my word, this is filthy?
I don't really have pay much attention to it, really, but there are times where you can see down by where your left foot might be, so where the cabin floor joins the rest of the aircraft. Yeah, there's often muck and crumbs and what have you down there. And actually, as John Falk pointed out, very often on the quick turnaround sectors, the cleaning is not subcontracted to the ground handling people. The crew do it themselves. So just to make sure everything is as tidy as it can be. So, I don't get very stressed about it, but I do see a lot of people on the various airline forums, especially the BA ones, I have to say, losing their mind over it. I don't get quite as animated as others, I have to say.
I remember, Nev, watching a series on YouTube not so long back where they done the big C check, where they stripped the entire interior out of the aircraft and all the exterior bits to do all that massive huge check, all the cabin interiors and stuff. And there was the bit where they took the seats out of the inside of the aircraft, including the carpets, the panels, everything. And it wasn't so much the economy seating, but in the business class seating on this airline, I think it was a 330, it had a similar kind of setup to the old BA's business class, where you're kind of back to side by side but facing opposite each other with the dividing panel. I forget what BA used to call that now. And they took those units out of the aircraft, and the amount of stuff that was there in between the seats was incredible.
Detritus. Yes.
It was. Yeah, you as a passenger who potentially probably paid 3, 4, 5 grand to sit in those seats, you think, my word, I've just sat in that.
Yes, general detritus, fingernails, dead bits of skin, you name it. Yes.
Yeah. Right, moving on. This next one comes to us from the... I'm going to look next time I fly. I'm flying with Ryanair in August. That'll be good. TheGuardian.com. This one is, travellers no longer required to take off shoes at US airports. Here we go. Here's one for our US listeners. For the first time in almost 20 years, travellers are no are no longer required to take off their shoes during security screenings at US airports. Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security, announced on Tuesday this week. The Transport Security Administration, or as we know it, the TSA, has abandoned the additional security step that has for years bedeviled anyone passing through US airports, according to media reports. The move puts an end to a security screening mandate put in place almost 2 decades ago, several years after shoe bomber Richard Reed's failed attempt to take down an airliner from Paris to Miami back in late 2001. He said, "We expect this change will drastically decrease the passenger wait times at our TSA checkpoints, leading to a more pleasant and efficient passenger experience," Noem said in a statement. He highlighted advancements in security technology and processes as reasons for the removal of the policy, but noted that some individuals may be asked to remove their shoes if we think there's additional layers of screening that is necessary. I like that. We are very confident that we can continue to provide hospitality to folks and for American travellers and for those visiting the country while maintaining the same standard of security for passengers and for our homeland, Noem said at a news conference at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said that other aspects of TSA security processes would remain unchanged. For example, passengers must still clearly identify verification, security flight vetting and other processes, the department has said. Travellers were able to skirt extra security requirements if they were part of the TSA pre-check program, which costs $80 for 5 years. That's cheap. The program, implemented back in 2013, allows airline passengers to get through screening processes without removing shoes, belts, light jackets, he said. But she's also said that she didn't think the new policy would degrade the pre-check program. Yeah, so basically what they're saying is that out of every 10 people who go through the screening, they'll probably stop 2.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the good thing about TSA pre-check, I do like that. I've used it a couple of times myself. When I was flying to the US quite a lot, I went for an interview at the American Embassy in London in order to get this global entry thing as well, which does give you the TSA pre-check, which was very good. It really does cut down on queues, and it was worth every single dollar that I paid for it. I think it was $100 or £100 maybe for the initial interview. But again, you've got a sort of a 2-tier process going on here as well, or maybe 3 tiers in some cases too. But again, it's a very difficult thing, isn't it? Because on the one hand, ultimately you have to preserve safety. That's what airline flying is all about. That's the number one item. But then you have to balance that with efficiency at airports, and the two sometimes don't go together. And I have a great deal of sympathy for the people that have to operate within the airports and use their own discretion about stopping people and this kind of thing. Because if something did go badly wrong, they would be literally rewinding the tape to see who was let through, and this kind of thing, looking at CCTV. So it's a very difficult situation, and it's very difficult for them to manage, I think, as well. But we're trying that, everybody's trying to have consistency, within airports and airline boarding and all the rest of it. But it's not a perfect world, I'm afraid, and there will always be difficulties here, I think.
Yes. I didn't take my shoes off when we went through security this year, when we went through Stansted. That's one thing we didn't have to do. You have that thing where you stand up and you put your hands up in the air and that thing whizzes around you, whatever they're called.
Yes.
Those things.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Right, Nev, do you want to take the next one about Taxibots?
Yes, and have you got any video to go with this?
I'm going to try and grab that, actually, while you're doing it.
Here we go, yeah. It's on theregister.com, and it says that Airbus last week revealed it had certified a Taxibot to transport its single-aisle planes from stand to runway. As explained in an airline post, the CSAR project that aims to digitise air traffic control across Europe created a sub-project called Heron that aims to reduce the aviation industry's environmental impact. Taxibot is a Heron project and meets its goals by using a vehicle to pull aircraft from an airport stand to the runway, rather than having the plane use its engines to make the journey. Airbus thinks that Taxibot could save half the fuel planes use on the ground. Jets are noisy, produce pollution, and are expensive to operate and maintain. Taxibot therefore has the potential to improve airlines' bottom lines, make airports a little quieter, and make the aviation industry a little more sustainable. As shown in this video, which hopefully Carlos will have a look at. A human drives Taxibot to a plane and hooks it up to its front wheel and internal systems. A pilot on board the plane then takes over operation of Taxibot and, using the same controls to steer the aircraft under jet power, drives close to the runway. Taxibot's driver doesn't have anything to do until the pilot disengages the system. At that moment, Taxibot drives away and the Airbus pilot fires up their plane's engines. Sharp-eyed viewers, if you can see it, may have noticed that the video is actually a few years old. That's because Airbus has tested Taxibots for years. However, it was only last week that the European aerospace giant announced that it has certified the aircraft modifications Taxibot requires for use on its single-aisle aircraft. Several airports are already trialling Taxibot, amongst them at Schiphol in the Netherlands, New York's JFK, Paris Charles de Gaulle, plus airports in New Delhi and Brussels. Taxibot's maker plans an all-electric version of the vehicle to debut in 2026 and is also working on a version to haul wide-bodied jets. Oh, dear. I wish we had Al back on at the moment. Well, we were talked about it earlier on. The new geared turbofan engines, the LEAP engines on the Neo aircraft, these take quite a long time to start compared to the CEO versions. And also, I would imagine that there's a warm-up time, and I don't know what it is. I'm sure Al could probably tell us. But I had a situation the other month when I was flying to Edinburgh on a Neo where the crew, and I spoke to them when we got to Edinburgh, they were offered an intersection departure, but because they'd done a single engine taxi out to the runway and they weren't expecting an intersection departure, they weren't able to accept that because the second engine takes too long to start. Plus they needed the warm-up time as well. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to mitigate this because the engines are providing a lot of other things, aren't they? Obviously, you presumably would need the APU running anyway in order for this to function. But I don't know. I've just got my doubts about this. And also, what about when there is a delay to departure? So maybe you've pushed off the stand itself on the gate, and then you end up with a 30-minute delay for departure, which is quite often, happens a lot at those airports that they mention. Is the Taxibot going to be hooked up for that amount of time, or are they starting engines once they join the queue? That's not clear from the article, is it?
No.
I don't know. I've got my doubts about this, I have to say.
Well, Master of None in the chat room there says that he wants to be a Taxibot driver. He said, just found my next career.
Yes.
Well, a good career, I suppose. You get a good view of the aircraft. I mean, you could take loads of pictures because the Taxibot is doing everything for you. So I suppose, yeah.
Now, I do understand if you remember, we went to the air show in Dubai in 2019. We did a very nice interview with the fellas and girls that developed the Mototoc system. Which is the battery-powered system that pushes the aircraft off the stand and just brings it into position, and then it's disconnected. That is sensible. I get that completely. But this extra stage to tow it to the runway. I mean, let's face it, the distance between a stand and a departure runway can be miles, literally miles. Just take Heathrow from Terminal 5 to the departure end of the 27s is 2 miles. So that's a long way. And then they've got to turn around and go back to the stand again. That's a 4-mile round trip. And that's just, I mean, and Heathrow's not a big airport compared to some of the US ones, obviously, you know. So.
There's a good comment, Nev, in the chat room. I don't know if you can see that from John Falk.
Yeah, John says, do they need a separate taxiway to leave after dropping the aircraft off? Great question. It's all about the infrastructure of the airport, I presume, here. But I have to say, I'm not feeling the love for this. And actually, Captain Cruz, great comment there. Schiphol Polderbarn is about 57 miles from the terminal, and that is obviously a slight exaggeration, but not much. Soon after they built that runway, I was going to a show at the RIAT, which is the big exhibition centre in Amsterdam, and just as we landed, I thought, I wouldn't mind a visit to the toilet shortly. I was breaking my neck on when we finally got to the gate. It's a 25-minute taxi, literally, from landing on the Polderbarn runway to rocking up at the gate. It is horrific. And it's not, I mean, you're taxiing at sort of, I don't know, 25 knots, probably, something like that. And it's still 25 minutes to get there. So it's, it's quite a journey. So I don't know. I'm not feeling the love for it, I'm afraid, personally speaking. But and say if Al had been here, he would be hopefully, confirming some of the things I've just been talking about. But anyway, there we are.
It's a bit like the taxi when I went out to the States last at Atlanta, and I think we must have landed in Norwich and taxied to the gate at Atlanta Airport in the US because it seemed that long, the whole taxi process.
Well, and if you take an airport like Dallas Fort Worth or Atlanta or JFK and any of the big ones, San Francisco, it's just enormous, isn't it? I say it makes Heathrow look quite small by comparison, that's for sure.
Right, Nev, this is a story you found for us this week. I know you popped it in our group chat this week. Yes. And hopefully Al will be back because I'd like to hear what he thinks about this whole ATC, really.
He will have a view, I am sure.
No, this is from aviation2z.com. The headline, British Airways 777 pilots scolded by angry San Francisco ATC. So the flag carrier of the UK, Nev's British Airways, flight from London Heathrow to San Francisco landed safely on the 29th of June this year, but pilots were scolded, literally beaten on the flight deck by an angry SFO ATC during taxi despite the controller's mistake. The Boeing 777 crew requested clarification after receiving conflicting taxi instructions leading to an unprofessional and sharp response from the SFO ground controller. The situation has since drawn criticism from aviation professionals and industry observers in a video shared by VAS Aviation. So, upon landing at San Francisco, the BA pilots were instructed to taxi to the international terminal. After crossing runway 28 left, they expected to turn left onto taxiway Bravo or Alpha, as is typical for arrivals heading to the terminal. However, the ATC controller instead issued a right turn Bravo command with unclear context just as the pilots were transitioning radio frequencies. Due to the timing of the switch and incomplete transmissions, the crew missed the initial part of the instruction. When they queried the controller for clarification and confirmed they were parking at the international terminal, the controller responded with frustration. The pilots halted their taxi at the intersection of taxiways Echo and Bravo to avoid potential conflict with the United Airlines 777 approaching from the east on taxiway Foxtrot. According to post-event pilot comments, had they followed the partial instruction without clarification, a near collision could have occurred. So, Nev, do you think we should play the video on this one?
Oh, please do. I can't wait. Yeah.
Let's grab this one if I can. Here we go. Let's put this one on and see what you think of this. Those of you who are watching in the chat room.
Beaver 282 Heavy, turn left Echo ground point 8.
Some Echo from point 8, Beaver to Kilo Heavy.
Okay, 2428, give way to British Airways at Echo. Give way to British Airways, Echo United 2428. Who else is calling?
Ground 228 Kilo.
Beaver 28 Kilo Heavy, Mexico ground, taxi via Alpha ramp.
Okay, Alpha to the ramp, Beaver 28 Kilo.
Beaver 28 Kilos Heavy, taxi via Bravo Hotel Alpha ramp.
Yeah, too late to Bravo, we'll please lift it.
Beachy Matesburg 28 Kilo Heavy, join Bravo, turn left, please, now.
Beaver 28 Kilo, you told us Alpha, and we're not too far over to make Bravo.
Okay, so you can't turn at all?
Well, we can, but there's a green area on the left. Is that suitable for taxiing over?
Affirmative.
Okay, we'll turn left. Next time, tell us the correct taxiway.
Listen, we're in training up here. Mistakes are going to happen, and look at that. Your nose wheel is on the line, so you very well could do it. Know your aircraft.
I know my aircraft. I don't appreciate
Bravo Hotel Alpha.
environment. We're not trying to do checklists, and you give me contradictory instructions.
Beaver 28 Kilo Heavy, I'm going to have a phone number for you. Stand by. Don't talk on the radio anymore. Yeah, 2428, continue taxi on Bravo. Southwest 3036, Bravo to Hotel Alpha.
Bravo, Hotel Alpha,
Southwest 3036, go Bravo, Juliet Alpha now.
Bravo, Juliet Alpha, Southwest 3036.
Speedbird 28 Kilo Heavy, are you ready to copy?
Negative.
Speedbird 28 Kilo Heavy, continue. Hotel Alpha, short of Mike.
Hotel Alpha, Hotel Mike, Speedbird 28 Kilo.
Speedbird 28 Kilo Heavy, continue. Hotel Alpha to the ramp, advise when ready to copy.
Hotel Alpha to the ramp, go ahead, Speedbird 28 Kilo.
650827.
Say, I got it.
Well,
oh
Nev.
my! Oh, where to begin? Where to begin?
Honestly, I mean, just before we move on, move on to the story briefly. Thanks to VAS Aviation for that. If you don't subscribe to them on YouTube, make sure you check VAS Aviation out. They do some great videos like this on there with the video description plus audio as well. Well worth a subscribe if you don't already do to VAS Aviation. Yeah, Nev. I mean,
well,
Nev. Know your microphone, Nev. Come on.
I mean, I'm not a 777 captain or first officer, as you probably realise, but I do know that after you've landed, the workload is really high, actually, in terms of making sure you're trying to get off at the right exit, whether it's the high speed one or the lower speed one.
Yeah.
You've got after landing checks to complete. You've got to make sure you don't hit anything else because there's it's a taxiways and what have you. But I think most airline pilots would say that if they are unclear, they ask again. They ask ATC, can you repeat the instructions? Now, the fact they were already past intersection Alpha when she gave them some instructions was one thing. Yeah, mistakes are going to happen. But I think that lady needs to go on a course, a politeness course, because she wouldn't have passed with the current attitude that she had. But full marks to the BA skipper, I assume it was, when she said, are you ready to copy a number? And he came back negative. Because the crew are very busy. They're cleaning up the aircraft. They're looking to see where they are.
And this is the thing, Nev. You know, they all have jobs to do. The ground control, or the ATC ground control, all have jobs to do. The pilots have jobs to do. The crews have jobs to do. Everyone has a job to do. And when it boils down to it, it's the flight deck crew, the captain, the FOs, their job to look after the, what was that, a 777, probably 300 plus passengers sitting behind them, plus crew. Yeah. It's their job to maintain and look out and keep it and make sure that everyone's safe. And if they spot something that's not safe and they've been told to do it, then question it. Double check.
I think that, and most pilots would say that because of controlled airspace, the safest part of the flying is when you're off the deck and you're actually flying the thing. The most potentially hazardous part is when you're taxiing on the ground with all those reasons which we all know about, So, and even if you're familiar with San Francisco and you fly in there a lot, things happen and things change on a day-to-day basis. So, I'm going to give a 2 out of 10 there, I think, for those ATC comments. Must try harder.
Master of None says, don't tell her how to do her job, Carlos. She'll have a number for you. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. But know your aircraft, Carlos.
Oh, all right, Nev. God, all right.
Just know it.
Honestly, it's probably the best ones I've seen for a while on VAS Aviation. It's really good. I did enjoy that, but yes. Anyway, right. I don't think Al's back yet, is he? So we'll move on to the next part of the show. And Nev, would you like to introduce this week's thrilling instalment of?
Yes, of course. It's the Retro Airline Ad of the Week. And I thought we might have run out of content by now, but no, they just keep coming. And this week we head back to the golden era of aviation in 1963 to an airline that operated an aircraft that had rather strangely shaped windows.
It's restful in here. The staff is so obliging, the service so impeccable. We're flying in one of the jets of Sabina Belgian World Airlines, and we're having one of those delicious meals which earned Sabina the Club des Gastronomes badge. We're landing in Brussels, Belgium's capital, one of the most important stopping places on the Sabina World Network. Here you will find the friendliest of welcomes and countless ways of making things easy for you. This is Mademoiselle Sabina. She it is who helps the transit passengers, and whoever they are, she speaks their language.
Where's the nursery, please?
That way. If you're flying out of Benelux, you can buy cigarettes, spirits, perfumes, cameras, and all manner of things free of customs duty. Yes, and diamonds, too. And here, sir, between 2 flights, you can dictate your letters or fix your appointments. As, at every Sabina stopping place, the Air Auto plan has a self-drive car ready for you. And if Madame is a member of the Lady Sabina Club, what a joy for her to find, as she found in other Sabina premises, a quiet corner where she can chat with friends or pick up tips about shopping and shows. Here is the brew room at Brussels National Airport, one of the best reputed in the Belgian capital. Sabina's very up-to-date fleet of Boeings and Caravels is a link between 4 continents, 63 towns in 37 countries. Sabina is the only company with a world network centered on Brussels, the very kernel of Europe, the hub of the common market. For your next trip, be sure you choose Sabina and fly on the Belgian World Airlines.
Well, Nev. What do you think of that? I mean, that was... That's going back a few years.
I don't think you could get away with that now, somehow. Yes, I have flown on a Sabina 737-200, I think. Back in the day. That was a Caravelle there, of course, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, with those funny shaped windows.
Yeah. And some unkind people often used to say Sabina stood for such a bad experience, never again. But just looking at that film, I mean, the service offered wasn't bad.
Oh, my word. Did you see that plate of food that was offered up there with beautiful bread rolls, vegetables?
Yeah, frankly speaking, I wish I'd eaten a bit more for my dinner tonight because I'm peckish all of a sudden. So,
Master of None says seatbelts were a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Masha says needs more waffles. Couldn't agree more, Masha. Yeah, absolutely.
And Mark Priestley in the chat room is saying when passengers were treated like precious items.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
But that was the golden age of air travel. That was when, air travel was it wasn't just something you done every day. It was hop on, hop off. It was something that you looked forward to a long while to, and it was
you dressed up for.
Yeah.
If I could remind some of the passengers that I have seen in the BA lounge with their hairy legs and their shorts and all the rest of it. But there we go.
John Falk in the chat room, Nev, says he flew business to Brussels in the 70s and the seat was like an enormous old leather chair.
Yeah, yes. Oh, dear.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, brilliant.
Those are the days. Right.
Yes, of course, we're not... those days are long gone. We are never going back, are we? Unfortunately.
No. Right, we're going to try and squeeze in a quick bit of military on the show. We are vastly running out of time quickly, but shall we do some military, Nev? Let's go.
Yeah.
Lost up bogeys 135, 50 Angels 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 St. Bogeys.
Right, first story from eastanglandailytimes.co.uk. So this is from my neck of the woods, this one. RAF Honington near Bury St Edmunds unveils a new gate guardian. RAF Honington near Bury St Edmunds revealed the Tornado GR4 as its new gate guardian and says it honours the station's heritage. This is because the Tornado was the last operational type flown from the base. It replaces the Buccaneer gate guardian, which has sat at the entrance of Honington for many years. I know, I've been past there many times. The first operational squadron was formed at RAF Honington back in 1982, and the Tornado flew from the base until 1994. The striking plane was blessed by Reverend David Young during a ceremony and remembrance service, and the base thanked many people in social media posts and said that the installation had been a true team effort, and they were incredibly grateful for those who'd made it possible. Jarts, who undertook a lot of heavy lifting to get the Tornado into position, Warrant Officer Steve Brown and Chief Technical Tony Fernville, reservists from Cosford for fitting the engines. JADTU at Bryce Norton for providing the ballast to ensure the correct aircraft attitude, and FS Robert Swanson from Air Command for restoring and fitting the ejection seats. Dodds completed the groundworks and manufacturing of the aircraft stand, which is standing on at the gate. And last but no means least, thank you to the RF Honington Voluntary Band, who's added music, gravitas to the atmosphere and the occasion. So the unveiling during crowds from the area, as many people stood to watch the Tornado become part of Honington's history. And for those of you watching in the world of YouTube, hopefully I might have some pictures there, but nice bit of local news anyway, Nev.
Yeah, and I think that the gate guardian is important, isn't it? It's all about, the history of the base and the aircraft and what have you. So, no, very good. Finally, for the military, on the Swindon Advertiser, it says to mark July the 4th, so that's just gone. RIAT announced what organisers described as a huge array of aircraft provided by the US Air Force. As part of the 2025 event's Eyes in the Sky theme, the U-2 is confirmed to be performing in the flying display on the Saturday and Sunday. On the ground, the US Air Force will provide a B-1B, C-5, C-21A, F-35A, KC-46A, KC-135R, MC-130J, RC-135V and U-2. In addition to the US aircraft this week, RIAT's management team confirmed that the Italian Army will be in attendance with their UH-169B on static display, as well as the Gulfstream G600, Pilatus PC-21 and PC-24. General admission tickets for Sunday are still available, though anyone wishing to join on the Fridays and Saturdays festivities will have to pay for the luxury packages. The world's largest international military air tattoo attracts thousands of people to RAF Fairford each July, and it's celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. And of course, our good chum Jonathan Warner will be going to that with his camera, won't he?
Yeah, he's going to be taking quite a few pictures there this year, I'd imagine, Nev. I'd say probably a fair few thousand at Fairford.
Yeah. It's getting a little bit expensive, though, isn't it? That's for general admission. If you were a family of 4, you'd be parting with a lot of money just for the general admission tickets, wouldn't you?
Yeah, £75 for an adult. So I think that's down to 14-year-olds. I think anything above 14 is classed as an adult. So yeah, if you imagine, couple of or mum and dad and a couple of teenagers at 75 quid a pop, that's quite a big price. Yeah.
Oh,
but Darren Smith's going to RIAT on Sunday with his DSLR, 75 quid a ticket, he says.
Yeah.
But right, let's quickly start to wrap up the show, Nev. We've got some news on the air shows for this year, haven't we?
Yes, unfortunately, we can't go to the Shuttleworth Collection show now because
there's a good reason.
Carlos is moving house, so he'll be packing up his stuff on the Saturday, I'm sure, because he's moving house on the Monday. I've also got a bit of a diary clash that's gone on as well, so we won't be at the Shuttleworth Collection now. However, I've just signed us up for the media accreditation for the Bray Air Display, which is on the Saturday the 2nd of August in Bray, just south of Dublin. Plenty of information there on their website, brayair.display.com. Don't forget the car parking there is €12 if you're taking the car, and you must have a car parking permit in order to park your car. Also, the Beccles Summer Meetup, Echo Golf Sierra Mike. It's the PT UK Summer Meetup on the 30th of August. Join us for lunch and watch the GA world go by. And also we're looking to do, make sure we've got a table outside as well if the weather is nice. So Carlos and co are organising that as well, which is brilliant. So let's hope the weather stays nice for that.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully it'll be good. We'll have as good as weather we're currently having here in the UK, all being well.
Yeah.
Social media links, Nev. Where can everyone find out more about us online?
Very quickly, Facebook, X and Instagram. Just search the socials for Plain Talking UK. You can email the show, podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. And our WhatsApp number is +44 7446 975 214. You can join us on the YouTube channel, of course. You'll get notifications when we go live, and you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room, as so many people have done tonight. Thank you very much for doing that. Just go to youtube.com/Plain Talking UK, and of course we do have running costs with our podcast, so if you can assist us with that, we've got Patreon and PayPal donation points on the website. Just go to plaintalkinguk.com.
Yes, thank you to Mark in the chat room for your kind message there. Yeah, it's going to be a busy end of the month this year, definitely for me, Gemma, Dave and Nigel. Dave, who's just joined me, he's just sitting here in my lap below me here. Right, that is where we're going to wrap up the show. Big thanks to Captain Al for joining us this evening and giving us a good chat at the beginning of the show. Don't forget you can re-watch the show, listen to us as well, download the audio and stuff for that to listen back on that. Big thanks as well to Armando for coming on the show this week as well. It was great to have him back on for a chat and a catch-up. Thanks, Nev, for joining me this evening as well. And a big thank you also to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room this evening. All the listeners in there, thank you very much for joining us on this Wednesday night. It's the 9th of July already. We'll be hopefully back next Wednesday with another live show, all being well. So thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening, and everyone who downloads as well the show as an audio podcast. So, Nev, would you like to lead us out for tonight?
Yes, take care, folks. Hope you have a nice week and the weekend. We'll be back with some more Duxford content as well next week, hopefully, once I've finished editing it. So in the meantime, hope you have a great time, and bye for now.
Well, there we are, Nev.
Well, that was a hectic show, wasn't it?
It was.
We crammed a lot in there, my word.
Yeah.
Sorry that we won't be able to speak to Al later on. I mean, I hope they're paying him some overtime, because that fellow was up at 3 o'clock this morning to do his Prague rotation there and back. Then he's back to the hotel in Luton and working away on other stuff, and he's still working now. So that's an 18-hour day for him so far. So, I hope the overtime rate is good.
But no, it's good to have him on and have a good chat, catch up with about the 320 XLR for sure. Nice to
yes,
that.
marvellous.
And obviously good to get Armando back as well.
Yeah.
So
yes. Yeah, well, we've got some stuff that we can't talk about yet with Armando, and he's going to tell us all, well, hopefully at the end of the month or start of August. But no, it's extremely exciting. So looking forward to that very much. And it was great to hear Al's story about collecting the aircraft. And he's going to pick up another one on the 16th. Captain Cruz, I'm going to put you in touch with Al, as I know you're in Hamburg as well. So I'm sure the two of you can get together somehow.
Yes.
So I'll do an email to both of you so you can meet up and have a chat. Should be nice. So, yeah.
No, it's been a good show tonight. Thanks for the nice comments in the chat room as well to everyone. Thank you for that. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Master of None says, was a wonderful show, Nev.
It was,
says,
yes. Well, it's good when we get people on the show that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I always find it's a bonus, isn't it?
Definitely. And also, don't forget as well, peeps, we have still got a little bit more content to play out from Duxford as well, which we'll probably play out next week, Nev?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
We've got nice
I might give Nev some homework this weekend and see if he can make a little montage video up of my flight today, which I did get some good footage from, actually.
Yes, I will do that. Nev. No, it looks nice, doesn't it? Yes, and it's nice weather for it too.
Yeah,
in 150.
Yeah.
So,
so there we go. Right, I've got to go and water the neighbour's garden because that's what the kind, generous person I am.
Yeah.
And we've got to sort out some cats, because I've got one on my lap here, and he needs feeding. But thanks again to everyone for joining us tonight. Been good to see you all in the chat room. And as I said, we'll be back next Wednesday for another show. But thanks, Nev. And Nev, would you like to say goodbye to the lovely chat room, and we'll let them all get back to their busy Wednesday evenings?
Yes, I will. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Really enjoyed your company, as always. Very funny comments in the chat room as well, I have to say, tonight. So well done. Thanks ever so much. Hope you have a great week and the weekend. We'll be back 7 o'clock UK time Wednesday next week. So have a great time. See you then. Bye for now.